starting off hot.
We can get
I think
two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot.
there was you had accountability. Now what I can
Now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
no, not even.
Where give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live on Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would
Trust a human to raise back wolves.
before I would trust a pack of humans to raise a wolf.
Right. I hear you. Yo, what up, fools? Welcome to another edition of Do Fools Agree. As always, I'm your host, Michael Reggie, here with my main man, Clifford Jordan Jennings.
Hola.
That was the best intro I've done in like 4 weeks.
Was it?
Yeah, man, I've stumbled. The last time I think I was running up the steps late. I was still out of breath. How you been, man?
We done done it enough.
Shit, you telling me.
I mean, I've been cool.
You good?
I've been cool, I suppose. We got another goddamn funeral to go to tomorrow.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, man, it's always something. But I'll be ready for you.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna go catch Dune 2, which is opening to rave reviews. We're gonna go see it in the Prime Theater at Easton.
Oh, really? What's that? What's the difference?
I have no fucking clue. I think we definitely get the like reclining seats, so that's cool. We'll be cuddled up. If you want, Cliff, we can lift the armrest, or we can leave
No
it there.
cuddles. No cuddles needed. No cuddles needed.
If the action gets too intense, just know I'm there for you.
Do they serve beer at this Prime Theater?
Yes, you can get a drink.
Perfect.
You can buy me a drink since I bought the tickets.
I got you. I
Call
know
it
they're about
even.
$16 a drink, but it's all right.
Yeah, that's about how much the
all for the
tickets are.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. So that'll be a good time. I mean, it'll be 3.5 hours of our life, but
Right.
No, I think it's 2:46 is the runtime. So yeah, about 3.5 after you get through previews and all that.
That's
shit.
not bad though, if the movie's good.
Right, and that's all I'm hearing about this. I have not heard like one negative thing about it yet.
Yeah, if it's a good movie, I honestly think.
Which means you'll hate it. You'll hate it.
Around.
You'll hate it because I haven't heard any negative news. You'll hate it.
Yeah, that probably will be how it goes.
Fucking hater. hate.
You know?
Play a hater's ball.
That's how you achieve greatness.
Just hate on the motherfucker.
Hate on all the mediocrity.
I mean, honestly, for it to be, the best movie of the 2020s, at least, wouldn't be hard.
You think not? Of the 2020s?
Yeah, man.
Oh, of the 2020s. So we're 3 years in.
Yeah. And two of those
What's
years
come out?
2 of those years were COVID years.
I think I agree with you. I don't think there's been much that's came out.
The biggest movie that's come out was probably Oppenheimer.
I haven't seen that.
You should. I actually think that you would find that one interesting. It may be a little slow for you at points, but I think given a lot of the topic on this show, I think that it's interesting to kind of see things from his point of view yes, it's a movie,
Right. And that's like what the
dramatized
nuclear
fiction.
shit.
Yeah, basically like how decompartmentalized the nuclear program was when they were building the atomic bomb, and how he wanted to stop basically at the atomic bomb, and other people wanted to keep going to the H bomb, and yada yada yada. So it's a good flick. It's definitely that one is probably the top movie of the 2020 so far.
Really?
Yeah, but it's a little more. It's a little like headier.
I mean, we've had this conversation on the show before. We don't have any more creativity.
No,
Like
but I also think that
everything's
that's
a
why
remake or a story,
a historical
you
retelling.
know, like
Yeah. But I think what's interesting is yes and no, because I do think that there is still a fair amount of like independent film that just doesn't catch storm. You know what I mean?
right.
And I've actually probably seen more artsy type or horror type films in the last like 6 months than I have anything else, because there really hasn't been any blockbusters. Like there hasn't been anything big that came out, and the things that did were like, the DC stuff with Jason Momoa, which I don't care about. I mean, I like Jason Momoa. Like, I'm sure when it comes to Max, I'll watch it, but like,
What's
I'm
Max?
HBO Max.
Oh.
It was rebranded Max like 6 months ago.
Oh.
The artist formerly known as HBO.
I thought that was
Cinemax.
No, they went down a while ago.
That's what I thought. But I mean,
No, I
outside
thought
of
it was
that,
like a new movie he was in or something.
nah. And I'm trying to think what else. Like
Nothing.
I mean, the MCU movies have been terrible. Like there hasn't been a good Marvel movie since probably Infinity War or Endgame, and that was 2018.
They still making them. What ones came out since then?
Well, you had The Legend of the Ten Rings, you had the Eternals,
I know nothing about
you had the Marvels, you had Quantumania with Ant-Man, and you had a second Doctor Strange movie. I guess.
Oh, really?
I guess the Spider-Man movie that came out that had like all three of the cinematic Spider-Man in it. That one came out inside the 2020s, so maybe that's up there.
Nah.
But Spider-Man, you either love him or you could like care less.
Yeah, I tend to fall with the latter.
Right.
But I think that's with every one of them.
Yeah. Well, and I think like generally speaking, I'm at the point, and they've talked about this on movie shows and that kind of thing. Like a superhero movie is not going to be successful anymore just because it's a superhero movie. Like we went through a decade where that was kind of true, and we've kind of hit the like, all right, we're over this. Let's move on. Which means sci-fi is ready for a comeback, especially with Dune 2, baby.
Sci-fi's ready for a comeback, huh? What scarier words have ever been uttered?
I mean, even Cliff motherfucking Jennings is starting to become a sci-fi fan, so I think that's all you need to know.
No, jump down that rabbit hole just yet.
We'll see after Dune 2 tomorrow.
There's a few of them that, capture my interest.
Well, and I think, too, like, there are ones even out there from, like, a TV show or a Netflix show perspective that have liked the concept, and then just like, the first season was really good, and then it wasn't great. Like, I think you and I talked about, what was it, Altered Carbon?
Did we?
I think so.
We might have briefly, because I tried to watch it, but that's one that
I made it through the first season, and then the second season I was just like I couldn't do it.
I'm struggling to get through the first episode.
Gotcha. But that is something like, but to your earlier point, like that was something new and unique. I don't know that I've seen something like that before.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess I was also thinking cinematically. I wasn't really thinking from a TV show.
Gotcha.
Like,
That's fair.
I feel like TV shows, they're so like it's so saturated that I feel like people can throw out any idea and
Yeah.
come up with a TV show.
Yeah.
My wife's a zombie or whatever the fuck dumb shit you want to come up with. Like, it's just
Dude, Santa
like,
Clarita Diet was wonderful. With
I
Drew
couldn't get
Barrymore,
into
loved her.
couldn't get into
Zombie
it.
like comedy. Oh, it was like a rom-com horror movie. Or
It's
horror
dumb
show.
though.
Oh,
Like,
it's so dumb. It's so dumb, but that's what made it so good.
and then you can't get intimate with her. She might bite you off, or like, who wants to hit a decomposing?
Corpse. I wonder if she's cold to the touch.
He was a necrophiliac. That's really what the show was about, huh?
Yeah.
My husband's a necrophiliac.
Necrophiliac.
That was the real title that everybody seemed to miss.
That's the true crime version.
Listen, that's some crazy shit right there, boy.
Man, I have been going down the rabbit hole on some of the true crime stuff lately. Like, that's been how I've killed my Saturday and Sundays when I've got nothing else to do.
Really?
So I'll throw on like a quick mini series. Like I did the Chris and Shannon Watts one. Dude who killed his wife and his 2 little girls.
No.
And then I guess just recently he got fucked up in prison. They killed him.
I mean, it tends to happen.
Right? Especially when you hurt kids.
All right, it tends to happen.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I don't feel any sympathy.
No. And then there was another one with a mom who got deep into, what was it, like Seventh-day Adventists.
What?
She ended up killing her 2 kids.
She got deep into what?
Like Jehovah's Witness stuff.
Oh, okay.
The Church of Latter-day Saints. That's what it was. Like she got super involved in that, and like whoever she was involved with was basically telling her that like there are dark spirits and light spirits, and like dude convinced her that her children were dark spirits, and she ended up offing her 2 kids. Shit's nuts, man. People are dumb.
I mean, God forbid, but even if you have like a dark spirited child, you still gotta see.
Still your child.
Like you still gotta see how they grow up. You know what I'm saying? Even if that was true and my guy was telling the truth, like they got something connected to him, then it's your job to help assist with the situation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't just.
Like I said, man, I've been down some true crime rabbit holes as of late.
I mean, that's just. People are so weird. Like, I guess what
I miss the sex cult ones. Those were good.
I guess what baffles me the most out of all the whole social media era is finding out the fragility of the common, pool of people, that it's like when we didn't have social media, of course, you only really, I guess, communicated with your group of people.
Right.
But when you maximize your range and see how weird a lot of the people are in the world, it's just, I don't even have words for it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not quite scary, but it is. It's very eerie. Like everything is just so eerie to me. Like and I don't know
you don't know what corner of the dark web somebody has like buried themselves into. And then the problem is that you get into these echo chamber situations where like that becomes all you see. And like that was a big topic of discussion at the like social media hearings a couple of weeks ago. Was that basically what ends up happening and what social media has enabled is for like you to fall into a circle of things where you are just continuously blasted by the same message. Like, and you and I have talked about this in the sense of like sometimes we do things just to throw off the algorithm to make sure we're seeing the other side, right? Like,
but I mean, I guess that's what it comes down to as well. Like, do you not have common sense to have seen something one too many times to be like, now wait a minute here.
Right.
Now you're just like, now it seems like a psyop.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand wanting to believe something like, you know, the earth is flat or whatever, and getting a whole bunch of earth is flat videos. But after a while, it's like, wait a minute.
Right.
What are you trying to do here?
Yeah.
Why is every other scroll trying to pander to what you think I believe or should believe?
Yep. So, doubling back to the PSYOP comment, inadvertent thought, because there's been a lot of declassification of like old CIA materials, and I think you sent me something on like remote viewing, gateway program, like all of that.
That whole Stranger Things.
Yep.
That was that whole Stranger Things shit right there.
Right, and that's life imitating art, imitating life. Like,
right. Sometimes I just send you shit just because I don't want to read it.
You want me to figure it out? Bring it back.
I'm like, this is more his speed than mine, but I do find it interesting. Let me send this to him.
No, that one's interesting because they talked about like the creation and it's real interesting just because I just read the Broken Earth trilogy, which I talked about a little bit last week, I think. And in that, they talk about like creating your own torus, which is like kind of an energy field where you can manipulate the earth and all that, right? Well, there was stuff about torus in those CIA documents.
Right.
And then the other piece that like caught my eye because it's been, and this will tie into what I threw on as the topic around some of the UAP type stuff and TikTok conspiracies and like updates on that front, was that like they may have cracked the time travel code. And what if that is the reason for the Mandela effect? They've gone back and changed things to see if we notice. But then that doesn't line up with quantum theory, which is at that point it branches into a different timeline unless we hopped timelines. Or, yeah, you can go down the rabbit hole pretty fast on that.
Yeah.
But, like, the remote viewing stuff is interesting, too. Like, it's basically saying that you can exit and kind of sit in the plane between planes. And planes of existence.
Like, as far as, like, astral projection goes?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah.
Okay.
That basically, which is interesting because that ties into a bunch of the shit in, like, the D&D lore. Like, the material plane versus the ethereal plane versus the cosmic plane. Like, these are all different planes of reality. And honestly, even some of the Kabbalion kind of talks about that, too. Which... you know, immediately puts me more back into, like, you know, there is something to be said for that. And the one brother that does, like, all the Anunnaki posts and all that kind of stuff, he's been posting about, like, his view that all these texts, all these ancient texts refer to a creator versus the almighty or versus the all or the other. And that... like, nobody has that part right, and everything that's in our religious texts and mythical texts is actually our creators that were not gods. And that's the Anunnaki kind of branded us from a different species that was already here to create Homo sapien.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've heard that. And that, you know, I mean, that's hard to believe. Or, I mean, it's not hard to believe. It's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah. No, and I think that's fair.
And I don't think it's, I don't know. I'm not gonna say I don't think it's my job to, because you are supposed to get closer with God, but I was seeing something that they were saying from like the translation of the Bible into English language, they dropped the S off of God's. And the dude was like, even in the Bible, God says, you will worship no other God but me. I'm a jealous God, indicating that there would be others that
Right.
could be involved as well.
Well, and that took it down a different rabbit hole. Same dude was talking about the difference in humans in terms of race is like a 2% genetic difference. And that it is genetic, but that in order to have that much variance in our DNA, basically, would have been 2 million years worth of natural evolution to have a 2% variance. And his point was
What do they mean as far as like from
black to
African to
white to
European
Asian to, yep.
right?
And basically what he was saying, or his point of view, or what he gets into all of like the big ancient texts. He was like, it was different creators, different gods, quote unquote, lowercase gods, that basically branded us to look like them. And so, yes, we're all Homo sapien, but they all put in kind of their own genetic code for us to look like them.
That's why I think religion is, I'll just say, so powerful.
Yeah.
Because it could be a blessing or a curse. You know what I'm saying? And when you say something like that, I think to myself, is that why they make us pray to a white Jesus?
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Because in the Bible, it says he had eyes of fire, hair of wool, feet of brass. That Ken doll that you got up there on that cross don't fit that description.
No, but who does it fit? It's a lot of the Norse gods.
I don't know. Who does that fit?
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe the Norse gods
Well, they
co-opted
say that the
co-opted the what would be the Anunnaki, or I don't know. Like, you could get into whole sorts of stuff there. Like, I want to write a book now. We're basically like the Greek, the Roman, the Egyptian, the African gods, any kind of deities from Eastern culture. Like, yes, at one point they were all here. And they still continue to kind of try to usurp. Maybe it's Loki. Maybe Loki is the reason why Christianity worships a white god.
Well, they said that the depiction of the white Jesus is a Roman king.
Yeah.
I can't think of which one they said it was. But when they were doing the Crusades and, spreading Catholicism and Christianity and all that, he changed the depiction of Jesus to himself.
Which makes sense. Because of course they would.
Right. But again, like if those words are true, you should, worship no other God but me. Are you damning a whole race generation just by having them pray to this false image of God?
Well, it depends on how much. Depends on.
Because I've yet to see any picture, image of Jesus in a church explained as it is in the Bible.
Right.
Not once in my life. Now, I've seen a black Jesus in a church, but all you did was take white Jesus and make him darker and his hair black. You didn't make a black Jesus.
Right.
Like, you're not going to fool me. So, I don't know, like all that's real interesting.
No, because then you start, like, my thoughts at that point are, what was the, give me the description you gave again?
Eyes of fire, hair of wool, feet of brass.
That sounds like depictions of Ra.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, huh? And how could that? Excuse me.
Amun
Excuse
Ra.
me.
Hence
I was
why the
about to
Bible
say
still
something
keeps
crazy.
Amen.
Right. How could that? How could that depiction not get anyone's attention? Just the white hair and the flaming eyes
Right.
is enough to be like, who is that? What's going on?
Yep.
I almost want to hear what he has to say. You know what I'm saying? What is this? What does he have to say? But you never see that. And
No.
that's why I listen, and not to make it one of these, but that's why I have a hard time. Like, you know how you're supposed to find a church home and all of that. Like, I have a hard time with that because I also know that it's been infiltrated.
Right.
The American religion has been infiltrated, and we know that the American churches are tax exempt only under the rule that they would preach what the government once preached, which is why I brought up, I've never seen an accurate depiction or a depiction of Jesus in the church from the Bible, because if you did, I imagine they would make you pay taxes.
Right.
I imagine you wouldn't have your tax exemption.
Hence the pay unto Caesar what is owed to Caesar.
And that's why I'm like, ugh, like don't get me wrong, the word may be powerful that you're giving inside of that building that you call a church. But the fact that you have been infiltrated in the sense, I can't get down. And I'm not saying that makes me any better or closer to. I would argue they still may be closer to God than I am. Yeah. But what I will not be is just a sheep led to slaughter.
Right.
Those are two contradictions right there. You can't worship no other God but him and then worship a false one at the same time.
Absolutely.
And even if you have that image of that false God in your church, I feel like, I don't know if this is the right one.
Well,
but
and then
I don't know.
And then that turned into, so that led me down the rabbit hole of getting back to like the pyramids again, and how there are theories now circulating, and I think that this makes sense to me, of basically the pyramids were created as giant like Tesla towers.
Right.
And that if you had water running through them, and if you had the correct supply of like hydraulics through them, like you would basically have the same effect as a Tesla tower, where you could power a region wirelessly.
Right.
And so that stuff, that's fascinating to me, and I think that there are, we have found artifacts that we can't explain that seem to be mechanical in nature, and they've either been damaged beyond recognition, or they've been crusted over from coral and water damage and that kind of stuff.
Right. I also feel like, what if that's just part of it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I imagine that there would be an energy source in all of those pyramids, but for all of them to be so strategically placed and based upon the stars and all that, I could kind of subscribe to the notion of them all being portals or ways, to travel to different areas faster than.
And even that, like, even if you don't believe that, like the fact that they could have been supplying power in some way, and maybe it's not a way like an electricity that we understand, but like energy nevertheless. And the other piece that kind of dove into was that these ancient civilizations, the majority of like the pyramid, not necessarily the pyramids. I'm trying to remember exactly what they were talking about. But what they said was they're all off by the same degrees. Like they're all off by 23.4 degrees in terms of true north. And then that ties back to what you brought, the axis tilt. Yep. And then we didn't have the seasons before that. And that the tilt is what kind of brought along like seasonal weather and that kind of stuff. And before that's what this particular video said. Now, you know, not being a planetologist or understanding exactly how our tilt influences our rotation, influences the seasons, but like that almost seems contrary. Well, it does seem contrary to the kind of the Tiamat theory that the only reason we're here is because a larger planet was destroyed at some point. But maybe these ancient civilizations were part of said larger planet. I don't know. So these are the rabbit holes I've been going down on TikTok lately. Go ahead.
That kind of just, I can't, those are a little, like, I gotta be...
You gotta be in the right
prepared,
space.
Right, I gotta be in the right headspace for those, because a lot of them just kind of tangle my brain.
Yeah. Well, the other one that I've seen lately, and this one is less... It's more about our oceans. And that we have found... Apparently they've developed some new sort of radar system. And they took it off the coast under like a mountain range along the coast. And used this radar and basically discovered that where they thought they would find like solid ground or just ocean, they actually found a solid layer and then another ocean beneath that solid layer. And what they're saying is that there are like prehistoric ocean life in that kind of hidden ocean in the world. They were talking about it, I think it was around the Mariana Trench.
Are they breaking through?
No, they just detected what's there.
And the only reason why I asked that is because that
they said the megalodon's there, by the way.
And that's another reason why I say, like, can they break through, or are there a few of them that were not in that part of the ocean? Because there's been a lot of crazy ocean shit going on. They found that great white bitten in half. What was it? That pod of whales that beached themselves twice trying to get away from something that was in the ocean. And then I saw that. Let me see if I can look it up.
Damn, nature, you scary.
Listen.
Now, I will say the supposed thermal imaging that they were able to show of this supposedly megalodon shark did not necessarily conform to skeletons that I've seen, but still interesting. And it's interesting that there could be a creature that large in the ocean that we have yet to discover. Like, you would think that the small undiscovered creatures at this point would have to be pretty small in nature.
Okay, so this is what I was looking. It's crazy that all I had to do is type it in Google, and it's on hella people's. This is from what is this from? The U.S. Sun. And I originally saw this on Instagram.
Okay. And
the title is I'm a time traveler from 2671. My 7 wildest 2024 predictions from U.S. UFO discoveries to whole countries disappearing. And it says March, an artifact is found known as Pandora's box is opened and releases many unknown mysteries. July 4th, a massive alien ship appears in the sky, just staring at us, studying, trying to decide when to attack. Oh, don't tell
July
me this is
5th,
the.
the aliens
I knew.
attack.
Right, we need Will Smith. I'm telling you. Damn, this is a partial. I was wondering why it jumped from March to July because it was something that happens in April too. These are okay. Here's another one. Is it gonna give me all of them? Um, oh no, this is just going into the one Pandora's box. Well, that didn't happen.
Something in February.
It said February 17th, first ever F6 tornado occurs, hitting Houston, Texas, destroys almost entire city.
Oh, the one I saw was Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I saw one there too. March 28th, an ancient artifact is found. When touched, it sends you to another universe. It's called Pandora's box. The universe can be very similar or completely different, like being. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, I saw one that had like a F6 tornado and then a Category 6 hurricane. Which honestly, at this point, given kind of where the environment is at, like, wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, and then it says April 2nd, 9.8 magnitude earthquake called Big John occurs in the San Andreas Fault. Soon after, a 750-foot high tsunami hits the California coastline. Many large cities in ruins, including San Francisco.
Interesting.
May 15th, an alien lands on Earth known as the Champion. He's here to take 10,000 people to another habitable planet. He was here once before and has returned to try to save us from the 47. They will be chosen randomly.
I saw that one too. But so far, not hitting any marks, so.
Yeah, not yet. That we missed that earthquake. Or, I mean, that tornado. What the fuck, Joe? I hate these damn articles.
The ones where they just keep popping ads because that's all.
Yeah,
really
like they
for.
give you a couple, like half of the article, and then the rest you can't get to.
Nah, that's yeah.
This is pissing me off.
I'm trying to think if there were any other good ones.
That's what I'm trying to, because I was hoping that sparked my mind, but it still ain't.
Yeah. Well, the other one that, and I think Gordon actually sent us the documentary for this, but basically the guy who's considered the father of anti-grav, saying that like we've built this stuff, we have this stuff, which gives us kind of lends us credence back to, you know, the amount of UAPs and things we're seeing right now are actually ours, and it's just technology they're not willing to share yet. And so basically, the theory is that we developed anti-grav technology in the 40s and 50s, whether it was because we reverse engineered it or because we had a scientific breakthrough is up for debate. But that a lot of those unexplained phenomena, especially in terms of UAPs, are based on anti-grav technology. And I think that, you know, I think there's a certain level of plausibility to that one. That is not something that would surprise me at this point. That, like, military-wise, we've cracked that technology. And despite our continued over-reliance on fossil fuels, like, we have the ability to move past that, and we just don't want to.
Wait, have the ability to move past what now?
Move past fossil fuels.
Oh, right, we know that.
That we could move into, you know, anti-gravity technology today. basically.
What the fuck does that even mean?
So anti-gravity technology is basically what would enable a ship, an airship, to be able, or a UAP to be able to move the ways they've been filmed moving.
Right, but what does that mean for us
I mean, it
using
doesn't
that
mean
as an energy source?
well, because that would be a different type of energy. Like it would, in order to get that kind of reaction, you could create something that is basically perpetual energy maker. Because if you think about it, like that's kind of like the philosophy behind like windmills and hydropower, right? Is that something that is already naturally occurring spins a turbine and that creates electricity. Well, if you had anti-grav technology, you could do that at probably a much more accelerated rate than even like windmills or hydro.
Right. Okay.
Also, you sent me that video of the U.S. aircraft carrier using the direct energy weapon on a target ship. That is obviously what has caused like the California and Maui wildfires, right? Like, there's no doubt about
and
that,
Chile.
right? That it was. Yeah, you sent me the Chile one.
Chile painting their out the top of their roofs, them little tin can roofs, painting them blue.
Like that's obviously what happened. That this was a misfire of one of those weapons that ignited.
Maybe it wasn't a misfire.
True, it was a test.
Right? Maybe it was a direct hit. I don't trust these motherfuckers. And then we got these two old ass bitches running back for president.
Right.
I want to vote for y'all old ass hoes.
Well, and it's just like, I think if you were to poll the vast majority of Americans, we would all agree. We don't want two 90-year-olds running for office.
Yeah, that makes sense, man.
It makes no sense. It tells you how fucking rigged the system is at this point. Like, if you're going to give us a puppet leader, at least give us somebody that, like, is close to the average age in the country.
They don't want that, though. That's too much vigor. That's too much fight.
But it's just like who are they going to dig up next? Like, this will be, after this election, like, this is where Bernie Sanders will win. Because he's like 90 years old.
No, they still ain't gonna give it to Bernie.
No, but what I'm saying is like there aren't even any truly viable candidates at this point that have been put in front of the American people.
Shit, hopefully it's the death of it all.
Right. Let it die an old death with the whoever the incumbent is at that point.
Hopefully it's the death of it all. Because I really can't see it continuing on like this without war.
Right. Oh, that was another one of the things that popped off in that list was the American Civil War.
Mm-hmm. Can't remember what date it was, but they said it was after Texas secedes and becomes its own country.
Then that a number of states
will
follow.
fall in line. Uh-huh. And we should. And we fucking should. At least until we figure out what, the better plan is.
Right.
Let's do this on our own till we come to a better understanding of how we should move forward.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that shit crazy. But then do you need a passport to go to Kentucky?
Well, at that point, there is no passport system. It varies by state at that point.
That's the next question. You got to come through customs as you pass through each fucking coast.
Every state line.
Uh-huh.
At that point, I don't know if I want to stay in Ohio. Oh, man.
Where do you go?
I don't know.
That's the next question. Where would you go? And then you have to think that'd be difficult anyway, because you know that there's a lot of like strategically placed military equipment in certain states
True.
that so what, you just own that now? That's just yours. Those are Virginia's nukes. Those aren't nobody else's but Virginia's. Or are we, divvying shit up? The fuck? Colorado just goes underground completely.
They're just high all the time.
See nobody on the top side. Everybody's in the underground cities. They call them the
hot box in the mountains.
They call them the groundhog state. Their state's renamed to the groundhog. I'm a time traveler too. A version of myself is.
Oh yeah.
What if that's how it is and nobody knows it? See, that's what I'm saying. Like they constantly put so much poison in the foods and chemicals in the air and everything to stop you from being the you that you should be. But what if time travel was completely different than what we
think imagine? It is?
Right. Like what if astral projection was more natural? But you know how like you've been in a situation where you got off work and you're like hella tired and you just end up home.
Yeah, been there.
Like you don't remember any of the drive. You just remember leaving work and pulling into your driveway. What if you're still here, but your mind is going through time?
It's possible.
You know what I'm saying?
That you can jump to. That's. I'm trying to think. That is what? Is that Time Traveler's Wife? There's one that's kind of like that. I mean, honestly, that's kind of quantum leapy.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me, right? Because then you yourself can't affect history.
Right.
Because you yourself are still in the present time, but your essence, so to speak,
can move about.
Right. And your essence can't really manipulate.
At least we're not evolved to the standpoint where we could. Somebody else might be able to.
That could be true. That could be true. Or maybe that's a lot of the ghost sightings.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, you could go on to say that the death of someone we know is not the end of someone. So they then would be in the future. And if their spirit comes back to you, I would call that time travel in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
That's an interesting, and that's moving on to the next plane.
If it could be done in a spiritual sense, why couldn't it be done in that same sense while we're still here?
Yeah. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter.
I just feel like there's more to us than portrayed.
Yeah. Well, I think the level of sentience and consciousness, and to your point, like, if there is more, it being unrecognizable to this plane of existence.
Right. Right. Like that's what they're known for. Like that's what these motherfuckers are known for, is putting up veils.
Yeah.
You know, making you think that something is only so big or only so, you know.
Well, and I'm trying to think too, like, some of that comes back to if we are descended from greater beings or share genetic traits with greater beings, maybe that has influenced our evolution to become more like them. Which, I mean, is the same philosophy as, like, God and all in God.
Right.
Like there's something to be said for that.
I just feel like well, I don't know. I guess the question would be is if you didn't go through these great lengths to suppress human beings,
Yep.
what would you really see?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What would you really see in this world? Like, would we think that psychics or mediums are so far off of the realm of reality? Like, would we actually have people that could fly or levitate, move things with their minds?
Able to harness different energies. Well, I mean, that comes back to what we've talked about in terms of we're all particles and vibrations, right?
Right.
And it's the speed at which you're vibrating that gives you the sense of a physical reality. Because you are vibrating at a frequency that is incapable of passing through this table in front of me.
Right.
But if I were to be able to change my vibrations at the molecular level, like I'd be able to pass through this.
Or is it like Adam's Family where you could just like disconnect your hand and it would crawl through?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I changed the vibrations in my wrist, but not my fingers in my palm. Now I'm running around essaying slapping asses and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want a whole bunch of hands running around.
Right.
So maybe they do need to keep the fluoride in the water. I don't know.
Oh man. Well, this has been a topic. What else we got, dude? You got anything? You got anything to take us on a fucking wild tangent?
A wild tangent, huh? We want some wild tangent. Let me think. No, I don't, but I have a question.
All right, what's your question?
About a previous topic. How do they, if they just now noticed that there is water, land, and more water, which sounds kind of biblical when you really run it back in your head.
As above, so below.
Exactly. But if you're just now finding that out, how do you know that there's not a quarry or something that they can't pass through?
I mean, here's what my thought would be that there would have to be a way for oxygen to pass through. If it's life as we know it, because it all requires oxygen.
Does it?
Yeah, because even fish take oxygen through their gills. So
Yeah.
that would almost necessitate that. But to that point, one, the passageway could be deep enough that we don't know where it is. Two,
Right.
It wouldn't have to be like a big, gigantic opening. It could be thousands of small cracks and openings that would have the same effect.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess I wasn't really like thinking like one door, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
or one hallway in through. But I think that was another one of the predictions that in one of the months we would find the ocean's biggest creature. I can't remember what they called it.
I saw that one too. Yeah. And I can't remember what they called it either. It was like...
And they said it would be like 4
Cryptias
times the
or
size of a blue whale or something like that.
Yep. I saw that one too. Which, again, that like baffles me that there would have to be a small number of them, right? Like, you could only... One, an ecosystem could only sustain... Although, I guess it depends on, like, are there other places on Earth where this undersurface ocean exists?
Right. And I would imagine so. And
Yeah.
beyond that, like, like if there's a ocean under an ocean, right? And I'm the great giganosaur
Yeah.
creature that they haven't discovered yet. I would imagine you would be dealing with like a Waffle House and a Red Lobster. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no,
why
I don't. I'm gonna
like,
need you to explain that analogy.
why would I eat in this pool?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know there's bigger, better food down here in the lower ocean. Why would I come up here to Waffle House to eat?
Yeah.
If I can afford the more expensive dining. I'm big enough that I can withstand the pressures of the ocean. So I'm going to go low to the better place to eat, and I'm going to eat there. Nothing really intrigues me up here for me to show myself
Yeah.
too often.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, at that scale, at that mass, like, it may be a situation where it needs that level of pressure to survive.
Right.
Like that if you were to, quote unquote, depressurize it and bring it under less pressure, that maybe it wouldn't be capable of sustaining itself.
Right. Like that's a good point, right? Because just because we discover it doesn't mean we discover it alive.
Right.
And I'd imagine if you spent your last days in the Waffle House, eventually your body's going to float to the surface.
Right. Which is counterintuitive to a lot of what...
it was just that big that it's like, nah, bro, I'm still sinking like a shit.
Yeah.
I'm dead. I'm sinking.
Which it could be.
Bottom. I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot of shit. But I mean, I feel like it's about time. I feel like people have gotten too arrogant. It's about time for something to happen to change
our self-assuredness. Like we're ready for a reckoning of some sort.
Right. Like motherfuckers think they know too much.
Well, we've got a bunch of different options here, Cliff. So, in terms of apocalyptic Earth today, we could do the planet tilt thing, which if that's what took out the ancient civilizations, although we may not have harnessed the same, we'll call it like if that was solar energy, like going to the levels of species or the civilization level theory, right?
Okay.
Like if we're a tier 1 civilization, we're a tier 3, not a tier 4. Tier 4 is you've learned how to harness the power of your sun, right?
I thought it went down.
I can't remember. I don't remember.
I think it goes down where tier 1 would be the most advanced.
Where you've gone beyond Dyson Sphere.
Right. The furthest is the least.
So, whichever it is, like we may not have gotten to that same point yet.
Right. You're saying that people in the past were further advanced than we were.
Yep.
And I agree with that.
And that it caused that the Earth tilt is what buried those civilizations. Or whether you believe it's the tilt or the Tiamat theory, that some cataclysmic event happened that wiped out those civilizations.
That would explain, because I mean, if you think about, I know we talked about it earlier in the show, but that kind of explains a bit the Anunnaki theory, right? Because originally we were supposed to be a slave race.
Right.
Of course, they started fucking us.
Well, what they say is that it was genetic engineering, not that they were fucking us, Cliff.
Come on now. You know what that meant. It was fucking us. Motherfuckers be fucking dogs and goats and all kinds of shit. You think they wasn't fucking something that looked more like them?
But I
than
don't
a
see
goat?
us. I don't see us creating a goat man hybrid.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Well, look up some World War II documents. Look up the World War One documents and see what kind of genetic engineering we attempted. Pigmen and all kinds of shit. Like, that's how you know.
Some Minecraft shit.
You a heinous. Like, who mixes a man and a pig? And what's the purpose of that? You got Bebop and Rocksteady all of a sudden. Like, what the fuck is? What you think he's gonna do? Fight some Ninja Turtles out here? He's a man with super strength and an undying appetite. I don't get it. Like, what's the point of that?
Right.
But back to what I'm saying is we were supposed to be a slave race, right? Like, so they created us and they left.
Yep.
And by the time they came back and they saw how advanced we were getting, the theory is like how, Jacob's ladder was. God knocked the ladder down and broke us into the four corners of the earth. None of us spoke the same language or anything like that, so we couldn't communicate. But in the Anunnaki theory, it was just a separation.
Yeah.
You've become too advanced. Y'all have to handle y'all's there. Y'all have to handle y'all's here. They have to handle theirs there. But I would imagine if we were already advancing at a rate that even made them worry.
Yeah.
That even when you separated us and changed the languages and all that, there were still a few that knew what we were from the beginning, which is why you would see those pyramids erected.
Yep.
Because we, the few, still need to stand strong with each other, and I can't afford to cross all this land to get to you.
Well, too, and I think that it depends on when you think that happened versus the Earth tilt. Because the fact that we have similar architecture in multiple places within the world, pyramids being the primary one, like, were there several pockets of people that remembered what this technology was, etc. And right. They lost it along the way. Or were there truly quote unquote gods or Anunnaki that were left here?
Or that were close.
Right.
That were close with people that were like, you know what? Like we can learn from you too.
We were all house.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you my dog. Like, this is my dog. Like, yeah, I know. Like, think about it. Like, think about how we treat our pets.
Yep.
If you had a dog that you could speak with, that you could teach things and relate to, essentially a child of some sorts. I can teach, I can put myself into you, I can do all that. Eventually, I would imagine we get to a point of speaking just like you do with your child. You like, yeah, he's young and he's dumb, but that's my dog for real. Yeah. Like, I understand how he thinks. He makes me laugh. You know what I'm saying? And the equivalent to me with my daughter, but I'm just speaking to your point of view. And it's like, that child can't do anything for you.
Right.
Other than make you smile from time to time. But they can't do anything else for you. But that doesn't stop you from being like, that's my dog.
Yeah.
So I would imagine even if we were genetic engineering, aka they fucked us, they would be like, nah, that's my dog though, right there. Like, so even though Daddy Anunnaki came back and said, nah, y'all gotta break this shit up, that's still my dog. I'm still gonna tell him what I was gonna tell him before you came back. I was doing it anyway, so I'm gonna keep teaching him the shit that I was gonna teach him. And I'm sure that's how we got certain people being a little bit more advanced than the others. How you get those African colonies that know the stars better than the people who document them.
Right.
Because their Anunnaki creators didn't stop teaching.
Yeah.
Just because you break us up doesn't mean me as the captain of the team am going to stop making my team better.
Well, and it could be the situation
so my team's still gonna be the best.
Like, again, and this kind of ties back to my comment around the races are genetically different because it was different, and this kind of ties to the Enuma Elish as well.
I don't know that. Now you speak in Hindu.
The Enuma Elish was the Sumerian texts.
Oh, okay.
Is that it may not have all been one God, right? Like it may not have been all one creator. It could have been several of the same species that stuck around or were still teaching, but were teaching different things. And that just because we may have been developed from another race doesn't mean that that race was homogenous and believed the same thing.
Right.
Like they could have had their own shit going on that like that is what is at the root of the tribalistic nature of humanity.
Right. Like what was that movie with Sylvester Stallone?
Oh,
and all the actors, they brought the like supposed to be the biggest action movie ever made. It like the Expendables. That's exactly what I was thinking. So you bring in different people that are good for the job doesn't mean that those people get along with each other.
Or that they're all on the same page and have the same beliefs.
He just picked me because I'm the best at what y'all need done.
Right.
So that means that when I get my group of people that I can genetically engineer, aka fuck, I'm going to make them the way I believe.
Well, and that comes back to it being a genetic branding of us being made in the image of the creator that created us, or the ones that we worshipped, or the ones we were associated with. And that kind of gives you the answer for the white devil syndrome.
What do you think?
The guy that created the white folks.
Dolph Lundgren?
He was the asshole of the group. Right.
Dolph Lundgren was the cross. I'll cross you quick if you give me a chance. And they let his bitch ass back in too.
Whereas, I don't know, you could assign someone to each of them, like.
But I will say the one thing that kind of throws me on that theory is that would also indicate that all races were around from the very beginning, and it doesn't seem to be that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, but I guess my question is, what's the historical evidence of it?
What's the historical evidence of it not being that way?
Of there not being all of the different races. Like, yes, I understand that there's the belief that Africa is the cradle of civilization and that that's where humans sprung up from. But then we also have the indigenous people. And don't get me wrong, Africa's big. We have the indigenous people of the Americas. We have Asians, which clearly look different as well. Like, then you've got the Germanic tribes of the north. Like, that could just be histories not connecting. Like, they could have all been here at roughly the same time. Like, that would be the point, though, if there were multiple gods that created Homo sapien and then branded us, and then, to your point, split them to the four corners of the world to give you really 4 to 5 truly different peoples.
You know
and
what?
And that it's not a result of evolution, that it's a result of being created by different sponsors from the Anunnaki.
I understand what you said. The original story that I heard about the Anunnaki theory was the brother Yakub.
Say more.
So it was almost like the Cain and Abel story, where there was I don't think it was Amun Ra. I can't think of the name, but I feel like it could have been. I feel like that's where they got that from. But there was 2 brothers that, came here to Earth, and they started beefing. And the Yakub brother went down into the earth. Like, he did something that banished him down into the earth. and he started, whether you want to say fuck or I want to say genetic engineer. He tried to.
I think you got that backwards, by the way.
Right, I did. I tried to put that on
me.
But he tried to basically engineer his essence out of his people.
Okay.
I don't want my people being like my brother, like my, so that's where the white people came from the story. Like, get all of this black out of them, because I don't want them anything like this man that just betrayed me and sent me to the underworld type situation. And then I guess the story was that he built up an army enough for them to be able to fight and break their way out of the undergrounds. And then, they took their place in a different area on Earth at that point. And then that's where, we started having the mixing of the races, where we all weren't the same. There was this one and that one. That was the first story that I ever heard about it. How true it is, I don't know. But what I will say
this is where, like, I want to become, and I need to find. The only way I'll actually read it is if I can get my hands on a physical copy of something, like a physical paperback or book of something, because that's just how I read. But, like, it makes me want to go find, like, whether it's the Enuma Elish or
I kind of want to find the Book of Enoch. I wonder if the Book of Enoch
if there's a print copy somewhere.
Right, and if it would, like, lead me into deeper understanding or interpretations of the actual Bible, or if it would give me clues as to what was manipulated.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's something to be said for that.
And I think there is a copy of the Book of Enoch.
Oh, I'm sure there is, like, because we're talking about it. You know what I mean? What I want to read is the texts that were supposedly burned in Alexandria.
Shit, or the Vatican. The crazy thing is, as much as we would love to have the true information, it was lost in translation originally.
True, because all of that, even the Book of Enoch, even the Book of whatever you want to call, like, is likely a translated text of more ancient texts.
Right, and that's where it gets even wilder, right? Because if you trying to, like, hone in on a location and you have the longitude and the latitude of the exact location, right?
You have to account for the 23.4 degree tilt.
Did you hear me? Nice callback. That was a nice callback. You get points for that. But if you have a specific longitude and latitude honed in, let's call it Atlantis, right?
Yeah.
And then you have another colony or civilization of people who are not native to that land or that longitude or latitude. And let's just say they get to visit. And let's just say when they come back home, they say, you should see the paradise that they live in. We have to recreate or copy that longitude or latitude. We have to remake that here.
Yeah.
At that point, it's just a recreation. It's just a counterfeit of that original area. And what I mean by that is that even if you try to recreate it exactly the same, there are going to be a lot of things that are off.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about a book that grants you salvation, that 23.6% tilt can take you completely out of where you want to go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just the translation alone, like, you could have lost all of the information that you needed, all of the sustenance. You know what I'm saying? How like some people, listen, my nigga Will Levis eats the whole banana, and I appreciate him for that. Shouts out, my brother, because you're changing a lot of stereotypes. But they say that there's more nutrients in the peel than it is the banana. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for some reason, they teach us to get rid of the peel. So they're taking away the sustenance, the whole purpose of eating that banana in the first place. And I feel like that's what the American language has done with a lot of text script or whatever the case may be over the years, because just you trying to change it is changing the longitude, the latitude of that location.
Yeah.
And now you're not where you originally wanted to be, in a sense.
No, absolutely.
I don't know. I would say unhealthy. I have an unhealthy skepticism of a lot of things.
Yeah, but I don't know. And the problem is in a lot of ways you got to find the truth yourself, because you're never going to be able to read it, right? Exactly
Right.
To your point that everything that is in print has been manipulated to some point.
Right. And everything else is in cursive.
Right. And how do
And
you
they're trying to
read-
get that out the schools. So if we die, nobody else can
rewrite
go
the
back
Constitution, nobody will know what it means.
Yeah, nobody can go back and say, where did you see that it said you had a right to bear arms? Where do you see that on here?
A right to bear arms, like you have to kill the
Right,
bear
like,
and then wear the
only
arms.
cutoffs. That's all you.
Bear
that's all
arms,
you-
right. Bear
Right,
bear arms.
that's all you have available to you is cutoffs. So
And
enjoy.
this camera in particular makes me look very freckled.
that's because that's what you are. You're a part of that tribe. It's all right. You can be freckled and very Nordic looking.
That's why I grew the beard.
You look real Nordic. I would fight alongside you. I would. Like if my tribe came
My
up
shield
and
brother.
seen your tribe, I'd say, let's do it.
Let's roll.
Let's do it. What are we waiting on?
I don't think you'll see any of my people on Arrakis. We might be
What's
the
Arrakis?
Harkonians. That's Dune.
Oh, I had a feeling too. But I didn't want to be a incorrect nerd. I don't think that's a thing, right? Like if you're gonna be a nerd about something, you better know what the fuck
Better know what
talking
you're
about.
doing, yeah. Because
So I was
there's
like,
plenty
let
of
me just shut my, because I'm not there yet.
there's plenty of gatekeepers that'll correct you.
Right, I'm not there yet, so I just keep my mouth shut till I
Dude,
see.
I
Dune
cannot
2
wait.
tomorrow.
I cannot wait to see this fucking movie with you tomorrow.
You know I'm with it.
I've got plans afterwards for like 2 hours. We should hop on and do a review afterwards, like around 8 or 9. I'll shoot you a text. Otherwise, I'm gonna hop on and do it myself.
Yeah, no, I might be available. I might be available for that. It depends on where I'm at afterwards.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I got somewhere I gotta go after we get out of there. My little brothers.
Okay.
But I'm thinking it would still be early in the day enough that I would still be back here by, 9 o'clock.
Or crazy idea. You come here, we do the show, and then we go to Rail House.
What's Rail House?
The bar at East Market.
Oh, okay. That might be a plan. Actually, Chris is right down the street.
Just saying. It's been a while since we've gone out, Clifford.
Yeah, you're right too. Chris is closer to you than to me, so that would make more sense to come to your house. That might be a plan.
See what we can work out.
Let me find out. Y'all try. See, that's your clan fucking with my clan, right? Because I'm a real ride the wave kind of motherfucker.
Yeah.
And right now, you got me in
planning.
my book, like, okay, so I can only be at the funeral till this time. Then I gotta come home, cut my hair, be gone by this time. Then I got,
God forbid I make you plan something.
I just don't. I don't. Even when I have plans, that's crazy. I'm ADD, right?
Very much so, yes.
And sometimes,
which is actually a big part of the reason why we get along, is because you introduce the right level of chaos to my fucking type A personality.
that might make sense. It's crazy. It's crazy that you chose that word, chaos, too. I'm ADD, but I'm a thrill seeker, right? Like, to the point that I'll have plans, but I won't set my alarm. You know what I'm saying? Just so my body's like, get up, get where you go. You had something to do. Get up and get out.
That explains a lot.
You know what I'm saying? I just won't.
You son of a bitch.
The only thing I set my alarm for is work. Everything else, if I have to do it, I have to do it. It's just up to my mind to schedule the time to get it done. You know what I'm saying? Even if this nap I'm taking is cutting it close, should have scheduled better. You know what I'm saying? Should have took the nap a little earlier.
This is why when I tell you times, I tell you like 2 hours ahead of when I want you to actually be there.
I'm not late though. I don't be late.
Well, not when it truly matters. I will give you that.
No, I don't be late.
I will give you that. Like, for this movie tomorrow, I have no doubt that I'll find you there. Or if you want me to pick you up, let me know.
I might.
All right. Well, you're going to have to text me an address and all that kind of stuff.
Gotta give me some time to get back and get my hair cut and everything, because I'm not going to have time to.
Yeah, I got no issue. If you want me to pick you up, drop you off after, that's all good.
Or I might wake up before the funeral and just cut it and hop in the shower. That's probably the responsible thing to do. But I won't set my alarm. But just see what time he gets up and gets shit going. But yeah, that works.
There we go.
You gotta pass me anyway.
More or less.
Yeah. What was I about to say?
I don't know. What else you got?
I'm sure I don't have anything else. I have an advert that I have to get out.
I didn't ask you about those. My bad.
And it may come off racist.
Uh-oh. My favorite kind. Let's go.
But I don't mean it like that.
Did you see you see my Instagram post that was
No, what was it?
It was for I find myself saying that's some white people shit a lot for someone who is in fact white.
Yeah, I know. That's very that just means that you're cultured. You have a diverse group of friends. That's all that means. But I just find it very ironic, right, that the government would contract our jobs out to different countries, like, when you're doing customer service.
Yeah.
And it's ironic that those same countries are like the biggest scam, like the biggest in like internet scamming shit. Like, so you don't know who the fuck it is you're talking to, really.
Right.
Like, it's really just a
Is this really Farouk from
right, or
AOL, or
are you in a whole nother building across the street trying to confiscate credit card numbers?
Right.
And it's like, that is just so crazy to me that like I know the government doesn't care about its citizens.
No, they do not.
But that is a complete that has to be a joke that they have within themselves. Like, these motherfuckers are calling the same motherfuckers that are scamming them for. Does Farouk work stand-up job and get off and do a little overtime across the street.
Street.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
Never.
We just have to keep requesting operators and seeing if the dice.
Supervisor. I want to talk to a supervisor.
Somebody.
Hello, my name is Michael. Your name is not Michael. Fuck off.
I thought my invert was gonna come off racist and leave it to them. That's some white people shit right there.
Well, my favorite one ever, and I love this dude because he and I worked through basically like our capstone course at college together. Went by Frank. This dude was Japanese. His real name was Jafan. Jiafan. But he went by Frank was his American name. I'm like, Jafan, look at me, dude. Out of all the names you could have picked any name. You could have picked any American. You picked Frank? Really?
Well, their list is probably only 25 names long. When they get over here, they just give them a sheet of paper and they gotta look through the paper and be like, "Sure, I'll go with Ralph."
Right, Ralph it is. Oh man,
Ralph could be hard to pronounce. Give me Leland.
Leland.
That could be a tough one too. Let's just go with Austin.
Austin. Or my personal favorite, Aiden, which dude who I coached with at one point called this kid out and basically said, "What do you mean you play football? No, Aiden plays football. Get out of here."
Well, look at Aiden Hutchinson. Ain't no Connor.
Aidens don't play football.
Aiden did seem like a boy in a bubble name, though.
Right.
Maybe just because it's not as common, so you don't run into enough to break your own stereotypes.
Maybe. That could be it.
I don't know. Shit. Maybe they both athletes grew up in a bubble.
Maybe. Hey, this is the weekend to be swiping on Tinder, by the way, with the Arnold in town.
You know I'm not a Tinder swiper.
Get those. Hey, man, if you were ever going to join, this is the weekend to do it.
I think I'll sit out this one.
Maybe you should maybe instead of East Market, maybe instead of Rail House, we should head downtown and find some of the Arnold girls.
I don't know if I'm trying to get curled like that. I do the bench pressing around here. I don't want you pressing nothing.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
I'm with whatever it does, but I ain't trying to pose back to back with no 22-inch pythons. You know what I'm saying?
There are a couple of those. I will admit to that. Most of the ones that are on Tinder are like the fitness models, not the bodybuilders.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, that might be. He might be.
We should take a duo picture, and I'll swipe for us and see what can beat us at East Market.
I don't like that either.
I think it's a great idea. Come meet me and my boy.
I do that.
Fucking short king motherfucker.
Listen, I didn't put my scepter down a long time ago.
Oh man. All right. We should get off of here before I tell on myself anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd probably be an idea.
My man. All right, dude. What you got to close us out?
Love everybody.
Even the
Even
aliens.
even the strong ones with the 22-inch pythons. I mean,
They need love too, Cliff.
they do. Just not from your boy.
I, on the other hand, have no problem with my head between a pair of massive thighs. So do us a favor, like, share, subscribe.
Watermelon videos. I'm good on that. I didn't see too many watermelon videos in Arnold.
I have no fear. Do us a favor, like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell an enemy.
An egghead. You
Tell
gotta watch out,
troll.
Humpty.
And with all of that, peace out, folks.